Good morning everybody, welcome back to the Morning Bible. It's wonderful to have you. We are finishing off Luke chapter 13 today. Another day, another chapter done. Just one last small passage to go through, which is quite exciting. We're going to get into a little bit of Old Testament history for this one. Nothing too heavy, just to give you some sort of wider context about what Jesus is talking about. But before we do any of that, let's just read the passage. So we are in Luke chapter 13, we're going from verse 31 to the end. It says, "At that very hour some Pharisees came and said to him, 'Get away from here, for Herod wants to kill you.' And Jesus said to them, 'Go and tell that fox, behold, I cast out demons and perform cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I finish my course. Nevertheless, I must go on my way today and tomorrow and the day following, for it cannot be that a prophet should perish away from Jerusalem. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. How often would I have gathered your children together, as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. Behold, your house is forsaken, and I tell you, you will not see me until you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.'" So a lot to unpack there. Firstly, Jesus calls Herod a fox. That's pretty good. I actually read the notes in my Bible and they mention this. He calls Herod a fox because foxes are cunning and deceitful. So that's sort of where that one comes across. It doesn't quite mean fox in today's context. But it's I always like it when Jesus calls someone a fox. It's quite fun. So, what's going on here? Well, Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem. He has been for a couple of chapters now. He's sort of slowly making his way through the region, walking from town to town, but with a clear goal of getting to Jerusalem. And here he talks a lot about Jerusalem. So, for those of you who don't know, what is Jerusalem? Well, Jerusalem is sort of the capital city of the nation of Israel, of the Jewish people. This is the place. Jerusalem is the holy city. It is the city of David, city of Solomon, city of all these different things. Let's break down why first. So Israel were brought into the Promised Land ages ago. They were slaves to the Egyptians, but they were freed from Egypt and they came into the Promised Land. And they came and took Jerusalem, and God said, "Look, Jerusalem, this is a special place. This is the centre of where your people should be." And over time, they sort of built up Jerusalem more and more. But they didn't have kings for a long time. The people of Israel were without kings. They were through a period of judges, where various different judges came and tried to reason with the people, and they had sort of periods of peace and then periods of falling out, and it just wasn't working. No one was ever getting to it, and so the people were asking God, "Give us a king. Everyone else has got a king. Give us a king." And God said, "Well, you should be obeying me." They were like, "No, give us a king." And God was like, "Fine, I'll give you a king, someone who's really good, and they will set an example for you to follow." And so we got the original King Herod, and then we got David, who is the more sort of notable of the ones. And David is this great king. He wrote tons of psalms, tons of worship. He wasn't perfect. He messed up a couple of times, but he sort of set up Jerusalem as being is called the City of David for a reason. It's sort of his place. He set up his throne there, and he ruled the land from there. And then his son Solomon took over after that, and he built God's temple. And this temple was this beautiful, really incredible space, this really powerful temple. And so kind of since that happened, Jerusalem's gone through a few rocky patches and has kind of ended up in being owned by the Romans. And Herod, this different Herod to the Herod before, this new Herod, he is in charge over the whole region, and that includes Jerusalem, but he isn't based there. This isn't his city. He's just he's in charge of all of it. And so Jerusalem is very far from where it once was as the centre of being God's kingdom. So that's kind of the background of Jerusalem in a very quick, quite vague kind of way. So Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem. He's getting closer. And so some Pharisees come out of Jerusalem and they say, get away from here, for Herod wants to kill you. So the guy who's in charge, he beheaded John the Baptist and all the rest of it, he's in charge of the region, he wants Jesus dead. And so they're saying, get away from Jerusalem, because if you come to Jerusalem, you'll get caught and you'll get killed. So don't come near here. Although they're Pharisees, so actually they might want him killed. So they might be saying, but get away from here, like that kind of thing. And Jesus says to them, go and tell that fox, he calls Herod a fox, go and tell that fox, behold, I cast out demons and perform cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I finish my course. So what does Jesus mean here? Well, it isn't going to be exactly 3 days from this happening until everything's complete, but Jesus is setting up that 3-day paradigm of I do this today and tomorrow, and on the third day I finish my course. That's Jesus referring to the fact that he's going to be killed and he's going to be in the grave for 3 days, and on the third day he rises again. That's sort of Jesus saying that this is to come. He's showing that he knows what's happening before it's coming. And he says, nevertheless I must go on my way today and tomorrow and the day following, for it cannot be that a prophet should perish away from Jerusalem. So even though Jesus knows what is coming to him, he's still saying, I must go on my way today and tomorrow. I must continue going to Jerusalem regardless of what's going to happen to me there. And so, yeah, that sort of, what's the word? It sort of harkens back to when we looked before about Jesus setting his face like flint, towards Jerusalem, sort of setting himself and being ready and determined to go. It sort of refers back to that. And then he says, for it cannot be that a prophet should perish away from Jerusalem. So there were prophets who perished away from Jerusalem, so this isn't quite a literal thing, but this is Jesus criticizing the Jewish people as a whole. He's saying, look, Jerusalem is supposed to be the center of your religious people. This is supposed to be, the city of David and the city of Solomon. It's this huge, powerful city that God established to sort of rule over Israel. And the amount of prophets who have been killed there, the amount of prophets who have been rejected there, is ridiculous. It's almost like, God will ordain someone, they'll come to Jerusalem, they'll be put to death. And Jesus is criticizing these people for that. He's saying, well, it can't be that someone could die away from Jerusalem. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. So, very direct. Very direct. It's as much a lament as it is anything else. He isn't sort of happy about the things he's saying. It isn't like he's mocking Jerusalem and making fun of them. Like, it's deeply, deeply saddening to him. Because he goes on to say, how often would I have gathered your children together as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you were not willing. So this doesn't necessarily refer to Jesus as in Jesus' lifetime of like this 30 years that he spent on earth. It refers back throughout all of the Bible. He says, how often would I have gathered your children together? How often would I have pulled Israel together as a nation, found unity within it, built up this kingdom with you guys, as a hen gathers her brood under her wings. So it's a really caring, loving, sort of quite maternal image. And he says, and you are not willing. Behold, your house is forsaken. He's saying, look, your house is forsaken. Jerusalem's forsaken. It's been left. You guys haven't lived up to what this city was supposed to be. You haven't honoured this city, and this city has just been used as a place for killing prophets, as much as it has been for sort of raising people up and building people in their faith. And he finishes off saying, and I tell you, you will not see me until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. I'm just going to read the notes at the bottom of my Bible for this, because I think it's helpful. Where he says, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. The quoted blessing is from Psalm 118, verse 26. It was chanted to incoming pilgrims on feast days. It's not an allusion to Palm Sunday, because in Matthew's account the saying occurs after Palm Sunday. Some interpreters understand this to refer in a negative way to the coerced, forced confession of Jesus as Lord at the time of the second coming, but the quotation is in a positive context of welcome and worship. And the phrase blessed is he implies worship. Therefore, other interpreters understand this to be a prediction that a large number of Jews will trust in Jesus before his second coming. Yeah, so it's a even though it's quite a hard-hitting passage where Jesus is lamenting over Jerusalem turning away from him. He's saying, "All you guys have killed so many prophets and you've done so much wrong, and I know that I'm coming to this city expecting that." He finishes off this passage saying, "And I tell you, you will not see me until you say, 'Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord.'" And so he's saying, you're not going to see me again until the time of the second coming. And at the time of the second coming, you're going to be saying, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." You're going to be worshipping me. And so there's a encouragement at the end. I know my notes offer two interpretations, but I feel much stronger about the second one. Where Jesus is saying, look, Jerusalem has fallen, Jerusalem's had all these issues, but by the time of the second coming, there are going to be a lot of you who are stood out in the streets worshipping me, who are going to be welcoming me. And that's an exciting thing. Even though Jesus came to Jerusalem this time to be put to his death, at the time where he comes again, it's not going to be like that. So yeah, really good little passage. I quite like that one. And that closes off chapter 13, and we are heading into 14 tomorrow, which is very exciting. But I will leave it there. Sorry, my hair's been a bit crazy today. Ignore that. Listen to the Bible instead. Cool. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you all tomorrow. Much love. Bye bye bye.